Hello everyone, and in this video we'll start to use some machine learning techniques to try to classify a spam mail from a non-spam mail based on the given data. So in this module, first of all, I will use CoLab as my coding environment, and for the input data I will use Kaggle to get some data. So there's a lot of available data from Kaggle that's available publicly, and if you just search for spam ham, it will give you a lot of data sets available. Actually, there's more than 102 data sets now in the time of recording this video. So I already have one of the available data sets. It's called mail data, and it's in the format of a CSV file, comma separated file, as you can see. And in this file, if we zoom in a little bit here, we're gonna see that it have two columns. Column one is says spam or ham, and the message body is actually listed in the second column. So this is a good input file, and to include it in our CoLab environment, I will just actually go here and I go to the folders, and I can just upload my file from my downloads, which is maildata.csv. I will include this file also on the listing. It can be a warning. I will say OK. Now I have my mail data file listed here, which will be easy to call it later on in coding. So first of all, whenever I start, I need to include some of the libraries, and I will import NumPy. This is basically for the mathematical operations, and I will call it as NP. Then I will import also the pandas, and I will call it as PD. Then I need to get some models for my learning, and I will use Logistic Regression in this case, but all of them coming from the same library of the SKLearn. So I will import SKLearn, and I get, first of all, I need the model selection, and I will import the train test split. And this actually functions that can take a whole sample data in a format like CVS file that we have, and will split it into training and testing data with specific percentages, specific parameters. Second thing, I also need now, instead of from, I will use from. I will use from, also SKLearn, but this time I will use the feature extraction, and because I'm working with text, I'll use the text one. From here I will import a library called TF-ID transform. This will transform the text into some weights that we can use later on in our data. And actually, instead of transform, because transform this is a function, I will actually need the visualizer. This is the one that can convert it to specific numbers. Then from SKLearn also, but now I need to get some type of models they're gonna use. So I will go for the linear model. I'm gonna import the logistic regression. Last thing that I need in this project, I need to get some functions that will work for my cost function calculation. So I will go from SKLearn again, dot metric, I'm gonna import the accuracy, which is called accuracy score, as you can see here. So now by this I have all the imports. I just will run that I have all the libraries and everything is okay. It's okay, I can go next because it's inline coding. So now I'm going now to load the data. So I always like to put comments on every line I do. This way I don't forget what it is. So loading data. I'm gonna load my input file, which in this case mail data, and it's a raw data, so I call it raw mail, and it will be equal to, I will call in this case the pandas, and it have a function to read any comma separated file, as you can see here. And all what I need to do is the name of this file. To get the name of this file, it's easy. If I go and click on that one, I can say copy paste, and I can go here and paste it between single quotes. Now I have my file added. I just to make sure that I read correctly, I just will print the raw data, which in my case is a raw mail, and let's run that. Okay, this is how I see the file, the first column and the second column. Of course, because the files sometimes are not complete, are not clear, or have some empty or missing data, we need to filter them. So to filter them, I wanted to clean the data, and this will be my next code. In this code I will put a comment also cleaning data, and I will use the file here and remove anything that is null or empty. To do that, I will say that mail data, which will be my data of the clean portion of my file. I will say that it is equals to raw data dot condition of searching, which is where, and my condition will be where pandas dot not null from the raw data, and make sure that it will be replaced by nothing, so it will be removed, single quotes. And now to view, I just will view top section, let's say top 10, or I'm sorry, it will be top 5 if I call the function of head. It will be mail data now dot head, let me call it, and it will be, let me scroll down here, and this is the top. Now I have clean data, as you can see. Now I need to fill this data into a machine learning algorithm, but I still have to work to change the text and decode the values a little bit. But before that, just to see what I need to do, I need to actually go and number one, convert the category. Instead of using ham and sam, I can spam and ham, I can convert them to 0 and 1's value. So to do that, I will do the following. I'll add a new code line here, and I will type that I have my mail data dot, we get the location of the mail data of the column category, and I will put a condition here. I will check if this value equals to spam, in the same what I gonna do, I will go and change the category and whatever data left into a 0 value, and I will copy and paste that again. But now I will do the same thing for the ham, but instead of using the category column, I will use the I'm still using the category column, but instead of using the spam convert, I'll use the ham, and I will convert it into a 1. So basically, if it's a spam, it will be a 0, if ham, if a 1. And for me, to not forget, again, I would like to use some comment. I will say label the contents of ham spam into ham will be 1, spam will be 0, simply like that. Let me scroll down. Now, to see how my data looks like, I'll use same command that I use from top to get the top 5, and I will use mail data dot head just to print it out and see that my function works fine. Let's try that. Yep, see the category now, it's 1 and 0s comparing to the previous one, ham and sam, as you can see here. Alright, very good. So after I converted my first column into 0s and 1, now what I need to do is to change them into vectors that I'm gonna send to the machine learning. So I use 2 vectors, x and y. X will be the input, y will be the category or the output later on, the desired output. So what I can do, I do a new code, and in this code here I put a comment and say we're separating the data into text and output. And it will look like this. I will use a vector x, I will use it in capital, and I'll say it will be equals to mail data, but I will only take the column of messages, and this will be my input. And I will use for the y, which will be the output, I will use also capital 1 notation, just because it's a vector, easy like mathematical analogy. I will use mail underscore data, and it will be the column of category. I will print to the top of x with head, will be head x dot head, yes, to check it. So now I have all the messages, and I just will check the top of y. And have all the 0s and 1, as you can see. So everything is fine. I can remove this just for the space. So now it's separated into x and y. I just will run it. Okay. Now after I separated them, I need to convert them into 2 sets. One set for training, the other set for testing. And to do that, I will use a command that I got from the train test split. But before doing this, I need to make another vectors which have the x train and x test, y train and y test as following. So I put a comment here to split to training and testing. And it will look like that. X train, this is the first vector, and also the x test. Okay, then I'll do the same thing for the y's. I will call y underscore train and y underscore test. This is my 4 new vectors here that I can use, and I will call the train test split function that I already included, and we'll call it by sending first off split x, split y, then what is the test size, and this way I can decide the size of the test that I use. Usually we use from 25% to 15, something like that. In this case I will use 20 or 25, it depends, whatever I want. So let's say I will use 25% of the data. And for the random state, I will equal 3, which means that we'll go from this and try to convert to 2 tradition. And from here I will try to see how the shape of x happens. So let's say I will print the main vector x. Let's see it. So this is the initial vector of x, but if I will print the x train, it still have the same data, so it's okay. Now I want to see the shape, which tells me the size of the data. So shape of x, this is the initial vector. We have around 5,572 values, but the train, let's take the shape, only 4,179 values, and for the test 1,393. So we can see that the split happened correctly and everything is fine. So after that I need to convert now the y vector into the values instead of text, because in machine learning, to train the nodes it's easier to get values, and to get text into the values what I use is a feature extraction. So what I'm gonna do is that now I will open new code here. I will try to convert, sorry, to put in a comment here, I will convert the y text into values using feature extraction. This is to go to the machine learning. So first of all I need to create the values. Of the feature, and to do that I will make a new variable called feature extraction, and I will feed the data from the functions that we already included, was the TF visualizer. And the input will be, number 1 is the initial data frame, which in this case is only 1. So we'll just say that the initial value of any data frame is actually 1, then it will be dropping depending on the feature. Then I will say what is the stop words, which you can ignore. In this case I will stop words with any English value. This is what I have in this data set. So the stop words I will say English to remove it from the equation, and I will see that the lowercase context should be true. Okay, so now I have my function for feature extraction correct, and then I need to convert it to a fit into training and testing data of the X. This is the shape and this is the value of the Y. So what I gonna do, I have to convert to fit, and what I gonna do, I use the function of the X train, and I call the parameter here with features, and it will have the value from the feature extraction dot fit underscore transform, and I will send the X train shape. Now I need just the second one for the testing. I will not need to fit transform anymore. All I need to do is just to transform and send it to that. So I just put here to convert transform, and we'll say that X dot test, and I call it also for the features. I will call the feature extraction, but now I will use transform. That's it, and I will send the X test. I have one spelling error here when it's not text, it should be test. Okay, so now I have the both values corrected, and I will convert them into Y2. But in Y I don't have to change any messages. I only need to change 0 and 1, instead of there are only characters in the array, into numbers or integers. So to do that, I will convert Y values into integers, and to do that is very easy. I just will scroll down so it will be more visible. So what I'm gonna do, I will say that Y underscore train equals to Y underscore train dot as type of an integer. I will put it into between single quotes like this. I will do the same thing for the Y test. So Y underscore test also equals Y underscore test dot as type. I'll use integer. So now I converted both of them. As you can see, I will learn to make sure that everything is working fine, everything is good. I go next. I will add a new code. Now, because I have X already converted and Y already converted, I can go ahead and start to train my machine learning. I will use, in this case, a logistic regression. So I'll put a comment here. I will say that I will train my model of machine learning using logistic regression. To do that, it's really very simple in Python. I will say just model and just define it equals to logistic regression and put a code. Now I have a model that I need to train. Defining this is just the first step into what I'm going to do next. I just will run that I have the model, everything is correct, go next. And now I need to prepare the train data and try to use the scoring. So first of all, I'll put a comment here to do the training. The model. Okay, so to do that, all what I need to do is to call the model and say it needs to fit what? To fit first of all the X train data, but the one with the features, and Y, which is the features converted to integers of train. And now I run this, should build my machine learning model right away. Okay, as soon as I get this result, okay, I have my model trained. Yay. What next? Next I want to test it. So let's see, sorry for that, if I can predict correctly. First of all, to test, I will test using the data that I already sent to the model, which in my case is the trained data. So I would say here, testing using train data. To do that, I will say test on train data, and I will send the model dot. I want to predict now values, right? So I'm gonna predict what based on the X train features. Okay, and I need to get the accuracy, and this is where the accuracy function that we include in the beginning comes. So I will say accuracy of testing, and I will call a parameter here called accuracy, and I will take it on train data, and it will equals to, I will call the accuracy function, which in my case is accuracy score, from the Y train data and the predictions that we just included in the test on train data. I'm sorry. I'll make sure that my spelling is correct here. Okay, accuracy, yes. Let's run it now and test and see how the accuracy we'll get. Okay, I need just to print it to see what's going on. So let me print. I will print the accuracy value saying that the accuracy equals and we'll put the parameter of the accuracy on train data, and let's see what's the results. Wow, I have 96%.8 almost. It's a good accuracy, but it's expected because this is the data that I already fed into the model. What if I would do that on the predicted data that it have never seen before? What I'm gonna do, I will copy and paste this one. I will add a new code, and I will change a little bit into, I will paste it here. I will say train on test data. Instead of test of train, I will put it on test data. And my function here, I will send the train, instead of the X train, it will be the X test features, and the accuracy on the test data. And the accuracy of the score. And here, instead of sending the Y train, I will put the Y test and the train on test data. Okay, For some reason give me an arrow here, it's not defined. Let me check why it is. So I'll go up in my features. I already defined the X-train features right here, is correct. So let me try to run and see if I have an error with that line or not. Let me run, and now the accuracy I will print here also the accuracy of the test data. Let's run. Oh yeah, it is, for some reason it doesn't see my x dot test data features. So because I guess I have some typo happen. Let me check why. Let me go up again in my definitions of the X-train features. Yeah, see, I call it features. This is why. Let me just collect it and put it feature here. And now let's go to my code. I'll try to test it again. And yeah, it runs now correctly, and see here the accuracy is a bit less, but it's very minor when going from 96.8 to 96.4, which is acceptable for machine learning that learned something from one data and performed adequately towards the next data, which I will accept very well. So now I'm happy with my model, but to make a final prediction, let me test on a total different data that have never been synthesized before. To do that, I'll go down here, I put a new code, and my comment I would say that I want a final evaluation for the ML model. And what I can do, I want to make up a new email. I will say make new and for that I will go to my initial data source, and let's use any email that says that it's a ham, which for example this one tells it's a good data. So I will take it, copy, and I will make a new string in my model here. I will call it the test input mail, for example, and I will put it in a form of a matrix of one string because it's easier to run it later on. So I have the same thing, but now I'll just change a little bit in the wording so I get something say I will be just change a little bit of just any random changes, just making sure this is a good email and it's not a spam, and I will send it to my machine instead. So now I will need just before sending to my machine to convert it into feature or a numerical value, okay, as a vector. So here I will make a new parameter, new variable. We'll call it test input mail, and I'll put features, and it will be equals to features extraction, our function here. And what I can extract, because it's a testing now, I only need to transform, and the input vector that I have here, which is a test. Input mail. So I'll take the mail that I just generated now and sent it to my conversion matrix. But after that, which is what I need to do, in this step it will be almost a numerical value. So I will make the next one, which I need to do my the test on the data or my prediction model itself. So making a prediction, I will do this. I will say a new variable predict, for example, or call it prediction, so not use any keyword. I'll say it's equal to the model as I have. Dot. We'll use the same function of predict. And now I will send the test input one, which is a test input mail feature. So send the feature and see what will go. Let's print what's going on from the result. So to print it, I will say print my value of prediction. Okay, let's run it. So going back to our file, this mail supposedly to be a ham, which is a good one, so it should give me 1. Let's run and see what prediction we'll get. Yay, so we get a 1 here, so it's going good. To make it a little bit readable for our case, I will make a small if statement to make it better readable for human eye. So we'll change it to change into text output, just to tell me is it a ham or spam easy. So I will say if predict or prediction, our case of 0, because it's a vector actually, if it equals to 1, I will want to print the word ham. Okay, and else I wanna print correct spam. So let's remove this line from here and change it. Now I have to print this ham or spam. Let's see if I will run this model. I'll go and run and ham. Yay, good. Now let's go and try something that's spam, something is bad. Okay, I'll go to my folder here. I just will use any one of them. So I will use this message here that is spam. I will just copy and paste it into my variable. Or you know what, I'll just take a copy of that one first, right here. I will disable the first line, which I already did, already executed. I mean, this one will have my new string of the main, so I just will go and delete everything here, and I will go back to my file, copy and paste the spam mail right here. I'm gonna change some of the text so it will be a totally new input data. So let's see, you are entitled and have your mobile, and I just changed anything, so it's totally new mail and it's a bad mail, and it should be something bad. So let's run into the model and see what it will tell me. Yay, we got a spam. So you see our model works, and remember that we will have at least, or like I would say mid case, around 96-95% of accuracy. And now we have a whole model that can classify for us is a spam or a ham in a machine learning using Python, CoLab, in a CoLab environment with the library of SKLearn, which is an entry level for machine learning, but at least it will give you the sense how to use it, and then you can upgrade to bigger libraries. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you.